welcome to episode 218 of Brutal Battle. Yes, no one else said the Brutal Battle part because it is I and I alone. Carlin, the main host, because, well, a few reasons. One, when I'm recording, it is actually just after Thanksgiving. This is actually the 26th of November. And around this time, when it gets crazy with the holidays, it gets crazy for me, it gets crazy for Rebecca, it gets crazy for a lot of people. So sometimes it's just easier if I can go ahead and coordinate the calendar of one person to do an episode. I've only done one other episode this way, where it's just me. So if people don't like it in particular, you can go ahead and let me know. Send an email, brutalbattlepodcast@gmail.com, and see what we can do. But yeah, I mean, the holidays are crazy. I figured it's just easier if I just sit down by myself. And the other thing is it gives Rebecca a bit of a reprieve because she loves doing the show, but at the same time, she also doesn't like to feel like she's always obligated to be involved. So that's why she kind of likes it when other people come on as co-hosts. So it gives her a little bit of a break for a few weeks. So I'm giving her a little bit of a break. So I'm doing this one solo. The next one, number 219, may also be solo. But since it's going to be just me, I decided for the mystery beers, we'll do more. I'm not just going to do 2 mystery beers. I'll still do a topic first, and then I'll go into the mystery beers. And for this one, I'm actually doing 6 mystery beers. It's not going to be like that all the time. What I came up with is double it. So in the future, it'll just be 4 mystery beers instead of the 2. But for this one, it's special. It's going to be 6. And there's a reason for that. Rebecca went out. I said, go ahead, pick me up some mystery beers. And she came back and said, you know, I found a whole pack of beers that just came out that I think I would just like to have because they're awesome. And it's a pack, and she said that she hasn't seen this all that often, but a pack where it's 6 different beers. So 12 beers still, 2 of each. And that is true. It's usually, 3 different beers or 4 different beers. So finding 6 different beers is, a little uncommon. But she was saying, it looks like a pack I just want to have. So based on her saying that, it should be from a brewery that is good. So it makes me hopeful that this will be a very enjoyable episode for me. The other thing is we kind of stopped doing the Pack Attack episodes. If anyone listening kind of remembers those, we were doing them for a while, but it just became too much of a pain because it was really hard to find beer packs that weren't old because people don't really buy beer packs all that often. So they just kind of sit there, they get old. Sometimes they get distributed old. So it just becomes this whole problem. So us having these freshness issues, especially because in most of those packs, you at least have something hoppy. Some of those packs are all hoppy. It just becomes too much of a gamble. You don't want to be drinking old beers because that's not a true representation of what that brewery is. So we got rid of that. So it's kind of good that in this sense I can, in a way, bring the Pack Attack back. So it will basically be a Pack Attack for the mystery beers. So I will be the only person rating. So whatever my rating is what the overall rating is. So could be good for this brewery, could be bad for this brewery. I'm not going to know what it is. I'm going to do it kind of like the Pack Attack before, where I'm going to taste through all the beers and rate them as I go. And then after that, I'll go ahead and reveal what the beers are. So after I reveal the first beer, then we'll know what brewery the pack is from, and then maybe I'll be able to guess what the other beers were. But going into it, I'm not going to have an idea. And it's good that way because I'm not going to have anything swaying me because after drinking the first beer, I'm not going to then know what the brewery is for all the other 5 beers. So there'll be no sway in that sense. And I will say I have the 6 beers lined up in front of me, and they look pretty different in color. Actually, the last 2 look almost the same. It's kind of weird. But yeah, so we're going to do that. But first, I'm going to do a topic. And just so people know, this episode may not be as long just because it's me talking. And regardless of what people might think, it is actually extremely exhausting to just talk by yourself for half an hour, 45 minutes, whatever. The other thing is just bear with me because, maybe there'll be longer pauses for things than you're used to of some dead air. I don't believe in heavily editing podcasts. The only things I'll usually edit is like if somebody sneezes or there's a really loud noise that kind of messes things up. But the time that you hear between, people on the podcast smelling a beer and getting certain notes, or tasting it and getting those notes, is real time. I don't edit it down to make it sound like we're better at getting these smells and flavors, which some craft beer podcasts do that, and I feel like that's being dishonest. It's kind of representing yourself in a much better light than how good you truly are with your nose and your palate. So everything is real time. So apologies in advance if things are slower and I need to take like a sip of water or whatever. Anyway, enough of that stuff. Going to the topic at hand. I'm sure a lot of people have known about the wildfires going on in California. There have been a lot over the past few years, and most recently, I think there are just two. And there was one that was a campfire, and that area that it burned, part of it was, I don't know if it was specifically Chico, California, but at least around Chico, California. And that's where Sierra Nevada Brewing is located. Sierra Nevada, super pioneer in the craft beer scene. So what they're doing right now is they're trying to get other breweries involved in an initiative that they're coming up with to raise money to give to the wildfire relief. So they've actually created a wildfire relief beer. And their whole plan is all proceeds, 100% of proceeds from the beer, are going to go to this wildlife relief fund that will go towards helping with the fire and rebuilding after that, because it's their community and they want to make sure that they're, like they do actually a good amount already, kind of invest in their community, and when things like this happen, help heal. So I'm actually going to read you an article. This is from craftbeer.com, and it was posted on November 20th, so I'm getting it, just 6 days after it was actually posted. All right. There's a very good chance that no matter where you live, you'll be able to directly help Sierra Nevada put money into its community, which has been devastated by the campfire. That's because hundreds of U.S. breweries already have answered the brewery's call for help in just a few short days. Sierra Nevada is creating a beer called Resilience IPA, in which every dime from its sales will go back to the people impacted by the campfire. Brewery founder Ken Grossman wrote a letter asking every brewery in the U.S. to do the same. This is a quote. On November 8th, the campfire broke out near the town of Paradise, California, and within minutes raged through the community, obliterating a football field per second of everything in its path, destroying nearly 10,000 homes, that's insane, killing many residents, and leveling the town of 27,000 people. Grossman wrote in his letter, although Chico and Sierra Nevada Brewery were spared, the campfire has devastated neighboring communities where many of our employees lived. That's rough. And that's a lot of people. Sierra will provide the recipe and more to breweries who sign on to help. As of Tuesday morning, so this is last Tuesday, which would be, because it's on I don't know what date, but whatever the Tuesday was in the week of November 20th. As of Tuesday morning, about 400 breweries of all sizes have pledged their support. Malt and hop suppliers are also working with Sierra Nevada to help provide some of the raw materials for Resilience IPA. Russian River Brewing in Santa Rosa, California, knows what it's like to witness Mother Nature's destruction in your own backyard, and they've pledged their support. Quote, Sierra Nevada helped us in our time of need last year during the North Bay fires. We are honored to do what little we can to help people in their community. Next week, we will brew 20 barrels of Resilience IPA and donate 100% and more of the proceeds to fire victims in Butte County. It will be on tap at both our locations in the next few weeks. Please join us in helping our friends at Sierra Nevada and the tens of thousands of fire victims in Butte County. Sierra Nevada will begin brewing this wildfire relief beer on Giving Tuesday, which is November 27th, which when I'm recording is tomorrow, in hopes of it arriving in beer bars and in stores by early 2019. If you want to see a list of all the breweries who are part of the effort, head to Sierra Nevada's website where they're updating partner breweries. So yes, they have a list on there of all the breweries, all at this point 400 plus breweries who have signed on to do the same thing. And they also have lists like the hop suppliers and the malt suppliers who are in. And then they have an area saying coming soon for wholesalers as well as retailers who are going to pledge to, carry these products and also donate the proceeds. So I think it's pretty great. Craft breweries are pretty well known for being really well integrated with their communities. And this just is another situation that goes to show that very well, that they care about the community. They want to make sure that not only, they're doing well business-wise and providing jobs there and purchasing from local people, but when terrible things like this happen, they're there for the community. They're there to support the community, both morally and monetarily. And that's a big thing that craft beer, I think, has over a lot of other companies. I know there are other companies who do it, but craft beer has really been in the spotlight, I think, for the past bunch of years for doing that type of stuff. I can think of a lot of breweries who have done that type of stuff for different disasters. So it's just really good to see, especially being so integrated in the craft beer community. When your community's doing a lot of really nice positive things, it makes you feel good about the beers you're going out and buying. And that said, it makes me want to go out and buy some of this Resilience IPA, even if I don't necessarily have interest in it from the standpoint of, I would necessarily want to drink that beer. I still do want to go out and purchase some of that beer, whether it's at a bar, whether it's at a liquor store, whatever, and drink it just so I can make that donation. I also think, and another aspect of this that I want to talk about, is I think it's cool that they're sharing one recipe. And for that reason, it should be very interesting to see if people are able to get the same release from a bunch of different breweries and see how the difference in maybe the water that's being used is. Because when they provide the recipe, I don't know if they're going to provide it and say, from a stripped down reverse osmosis with no minerals or anything else, like this is where you go, and then like build up the water and then the hops and the malts and all that. I'm assuming they don't do it that in depth. It may be kind of up to all the breweries, like what water they're going to use, how it's going to be constructed. And then things just taste different. Yeah, there have definitely been instances in the past where there are collaboration beers and two breweries are doing the same collaboration beer. One's brewing it while the other one's brewing it, and they release it, and they do taste a little bit different. So for me, it'll be interesting. I don't know if I can commit to saying that I'm going to try as many as I can of the Resilience IPA, but I'm definitely going to have some of it. So actually, that might actually be a cool podcast episode if I'm able to set that up. If I can go out to a liquor store and pick up a few Resilience IPAs, maybe done by a bunch of local breweries, if they're signed up for this. Because there are it's over 400 breweries who said they're going to be involved, but there's at this point, almost 7,000 craft breweries in the United States. So who knows if any Maryland ones are even on that list. I did take a quick skim of the list, but I didn't, read over all of them. So I can't tell you for sure if there are Maryland breweries on there or necessarily off the top of my head who's on there. But obviously Sierra Nevada, and it did say in the article, Russian River is involved. I'm sure you can assume that a lot of breweries from California will be involved because, they're greatly impacted and they're, seeing the impacts all the time of that. So I would guess that it's mainly going to be West Coast breweries, because I know that also the smoke from the fires have gone up to Oregon and Washington. I know it's also made its way even further east, but the further east you go, the more dissipated that becomes. So it's not as much of an impact. And people aren't thinking of it as much. You're just kind of seeing it on the news or reading it online here and there. So just kind of something to think about. But do you guys out there listening have any thoughts on that? Go ahead and email brutalbattlepodcast@gmail.com and let me know. Are you planning on going out and trying some of this Resilience IPA? Are there breweries you're aware of who have signed up that you're excited have signed up? Are there breweries you wish would sign up with it? Or just let me know a few breweries off the top of your head that you may know of who have signed on with this and you're excited about. Because I'm not going to read through the whole list on Sierra Nevada's website. I'm just, like I said in the beginning of this time of year, I'm busy, got a lot of stuff going on, which is why I'm doing this. So, if anyone wants to talk about anything related to this, good. And Ken Grossman and Sierra Nevada good job on doing this. It's important work, and I fully support what you're doing here. And the other thing is, they're constantly bringing breweries together. This isn't the first time that they've done this type of thing, like bringing breweries together in that sense. I mean, you got to think about the Beer Camp pack that they do every year. They're bringing breweries together to do collaborations. In some instances, each beer was them and one other brewery. In other instances, they had it and it was them and like a team of 5 other breweries. I think that was like 3 years ago that they did that, where it was like groupings around the United States, and they had like a team lead brewery. So they're just constantly doing new stuff. Obviously, in this instance, the Resilience IPA is a much more philanthropic and charitable version of collaboration than what Beer Camp is. Beer Camp's actually for money, but that kind of stuff's got to be a logistical nightmare. So good on Sierra Nevada for doing the tough work and getting out there and doing this stuff. So that's all I have to say about that. I am actually inclined to get into these beers because I'm already getting tired. So Rebecca actually gave me a folded up note with these beers and said, read this after you're done with the beers. So I don't know if she wrote down what the beers are, but I actually have the beers in front of me in the bags. So I was just going to reveal them the normal way after I've, tried them all and rated them. So what I'm going to do is reveal them out of the bags, and then I'll read this note and see if there's anything additional. Because I don't know if she put something in there saying, what the name of the beer pack was or story behind it or whatever. All right. So I'm going to drink a little water because my throat's dry. It's weird how water tastes so good when you feel parched. All right, first beer. I'm going to call it A. I'm going A, B, C, D, E, F. All right. And then, like I said, it's just my rating on it. Okay, so this one looks like very yellow, kind of hazy. It looks like it's most likely an IPA. Well, not like very hazy, a little bit hazy, I'd say. But yeah, very yellow, a little bit of an orangish on there too. Ooh, it smells a little banana-y, but a little citrusy at the same time. It's like slight banana, slight clove, but lemon peel at the same time. So yeah, it smells like a wheat beer, maybe Belgian wheat. Yeah, it definitely has that kind of Belgian wheat smell. Although it's more citrusy than I would assume for a Belgian wheat. There is that kind of faint medicinal note, kind of a little bit like aspirin at the end of each sniff, but it's not crazy. It smells like it will probably have a refreshing finish to it. Trying it. Very light on the tongue. Okay. So it's got that note that I talk about all the time, not really particularly liking. It's a little bit of the Naked Cheerio note. I'll just say it's cereal sometimes. Relatively clean finish. Kind of like a medium-low body, I'd say. Yeah, there's a lot of that Naked Cheerio to it. There is a quick hit of like a lemon peel in there. I don't know if I really taste banana, but I do taste that kind of clove note I said I was getting on the nose. I'm down with this beer. It's that kind of Cheerio finish that's getting me a little bit. But it's not a bad beer, though. I'm pretty good. I'm good with it. And the more I keep sipping it, that kind of Cheerio note is coming down a little bit. That coriander is coming down a little bit. And that lemon peel seems to be increasing in perception slightly. And then it's also starting to have even more of a clean finish as I'm getting used to some of those rougher notes in there. I'm going to go ahead and give this a 3. This is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to rate these as I go through them. Because I don't want to, mess with my palate too much since I'm doing 6 beers. I don't know if this is a good idea or a bad idea doing all this. I'm not sure. Guess I'll find out. Okay, so I'm going to put a 3 on A. All right. B actually looks like it could be one of these New England style IPAs. It is even hazier than the first one. It looks yellow, but more orange to it than A had. Ooh, wow. Okay. It smells like a New England style IPA. That is for sure. Wow. Okay. A ridiculous blast of tropical and citrus. Pineapple in there for sure. Oh, really awesome pineapple note coming through. Mixed in with some orange. Maybe a little bit of mango, a little bit of tangerine in there. It's just like citrus salad in the nose. This smells vibrant. This smells tasty. This smells awesome. God, I love the nose on that beer. So there's a little bit, there's like a slight hay note on the very end of it, but it's so slight, and I'm really reaching to get that. Oh my God. There's a little bit of a bitterness on the end of the nose as well, but that just smells, that smells awesome. I'm going in for a sip. Yeah. Yeah, it tastes good. It's very light mouthfeel. Yeah, very light mouthfeel. Gotta definitely be this brewery's take on a New England style IPA. It doesn't have as much of a mouthfeel as a lot of New England style IPAs do, because of the addition of like oats in those beers a lot of the times gives it a little more substance. This one, it doesn't have as much. It's a little bit lighter, and there's more bitterness than I would typically get from your typical New England style IPA. But it tastes like that's what it is. You know, it's not high alcohol. It's very, very low. There's a lot of citrusy flavor on there without a lot of bitterness. But there is more bitterness, like I said, than I would assume from New England style IPA. I like it. I like it. It's not, I mean, I will say though, as I continue to drink it, it just starts to feel more and more thin on the mouthfeel, which to a degree is good. So it's like a really sessionable hoppy beer, but when I get those like really awesome citrusy and tropical flavors, I really, for me personally, want more body to it to make it kind of stand up. I want a little more malt backbone to it. That's just my personal taste, obviously, but for me, if that were going on here, I'd be even happier with it, but I do like it. This is pretty nice. It's really easy. I definitely get the pineapple in there. Definitely get orange. A little bit of mango. That's good. And that's actually a beer that, like, it's enough flavor that you're happy with getting, like, some nice taste out of it, but it's also easy enough that you can kind of just, like, ignore it a little bit if you want to, and you can go through that pretty quick because of how sessionable it really is. That one is good. I don't know if I can give it, like, crazy good marks. I like it. I'm going to give it a 4. I do like that beer. It's kind of funny. 3, a 4, maybe the next one will be a 5. So A has a 3, B has a 4, C, let's go to this one. This looks like it may be more of like a traditional IPA, because it's not at all hazy. It's very, very clear. It's very orange. Yeah, it's pretty orange. That's just straight clear orange beer. Let me smell it. Yep, it smells like it's an IPA. This has a little... There are a few notes being mirrored from beer B in this one. Like that orange is very... It smells the same. But this has a little bit of a pine to it. So it's like orange, pine. Don't smell pineapple. I do smell a little mango to it. Although for me, the perception of mango is usually like a tropical citrus mixed with a little bit of pine. So maybe it's the citrus and the pine coming together that reminds me of mango when it isn't necessarily mango itself. But for me, it's kind of coming off as mango. It smells really smooth. I don't really perceive alcohol on the nose. This definitely smells like it has a lot more of a malt backbone to it. There may be a lot more bitterness to it. Let me go ahead and sip some water. Want to make sure my palate is pretty well cleansed. It smells good. Good and hoppy. Let's go. Okay. Lighter on the mouthfeel than I thought it would be based off the color and the smell. Yeah, it is coming off a little bit more malty, but along with that, I would assume that there'd be more of a viscosity there. It's just a little bit more than Beer B was. So these citrus hop notes are a little bit darker in comparison to B. So it's more of like a dehydrated orange in there. There's definitely like that mango, and there's a decent amount of pine, and that pine kind of brings up the rear in all of these. Each sip is kind of like pine is the finishing note. And it also definitely has more bitterness than B. I'm digging it though. It's still relatively easy. Not as easy as B, but it's still relatively easy. There's definitely a lot more bitterness in there, but I'm liking that. It's kind of coating my tongue, and I'm good with it. I like the bitterness there. I would definitely see this as someone who's more into the New England style or like sessionable IPAs would be really into B, and someone who's more into like the West Coast style, a little bit more bitterness, and actually more of a West Coast, East Coast fusion, to be honest, because of that pine note in there. It's just like the citrus meets the pine with a decent bitterness. That'd be more your style for Beer C. So, I don't think I can say that this is better than B. They're different, but I think they're kind of on the same playing field. I think they're evening each other out. So I'm going to go ahead and put a 4 on C as well. So we have 3 for A, 4 for B, and 4 also for C. So I'm going to move to D, but take a sip of water real quick. All right, here we go. D. This one is dark, which it's kind of weird to me because this is the darkest one, and this is the 4th beer, and we have 2 more beers after this. So we'll see what the reasoning for Rebecca's tasting order is. So it looks like it doesn't look like an imperial stout because I can see like a little bit of reddishness around the edges. So it looks more like a porter or a straight up stout. Ooh, it smells really chocolatey. Wow. There's a lot of chocolate. That smells really nice. So there's a little bit of like a malt roast in there, but each sniff is dominated by chocolate for the most part. And it actually smells like it's a combination of milk chocolate and dark chocolate going on, which is nice. It's really nice because dark chocolate typically will bring that kind of like bitterness. And then the milk chocolate will bring like a nice kind of velvety richness to it. And I feel like you have both those things going on here. I do smell a little bit of a hop aroma in there, like a slight, quick citrus, but it's really, really low level. And that comes in at the end. There's a little, like a slight ashiness on the nose as well as I keep sniffing it, but it's not super pronounced. It smells good. This smells really good. I really like the smell of this. I'm going in and taste it. Oh yeah. Very chocolatey. Very thin though. But it's not a bad thing in this sense. It's kind of like, this is going to sound kind of dumb and kind of not attractive, but it's like a chocolate water in a sense, but in a good way. Let me taste it again. Honestly, I think the flavor mirrors the aroma almost exactly, which if you listen enough to this podcast, you know that that's typically not the case for craft beers. Well, for beer in general, but wow, that's a pretty cool achievement for that reason. I like this. Yeah, it's like, okay, when you typically get chocolatey beers like this, it's more in the line of a more viscous beer. It's more in the line of something like an imperial stout that is like decadent and chocolatey. This one, it's significantly less present. It's kind of like a medium body to it, but it's got decent, serious chocolate flavors in there. And like I said in the aroma, it's a mix of milk and dark chocolate. I think the milk chocolate in the flavor is a little bit more than the dark chocolate, but you can definitely taste both of them in there. I like this beer. This is pretty good. If you keep drinking it a decent amount, I don't think you could drink a whole lot of it because that sweetness does kind of build as you keep sipping it. But it's good. This is a nice, like, easy dessert beer, I'd say. It's nice. And I do get a little bit of that ashiness on the finish as I keep drinking, which I like. And there's a little bit of bitterness. It's not anything crazy. Something does taste a tad bit fruity on the end. Like I was saying, that kind of little kick of hop aroma in the nose. It's a little bit present at the very end of each sip. That is a good beer. All right. I'm finally going to do it. I'm going to make that little bit of step. I'm going up to a 5 on that one. It can't... I thought about between a 5 and a 6, but I just don't think I can justify a 6. A 6 is a little bit too high. 5 feels right. I like it more than B and C by 1 point, so that makes sense. Wow, that is good. Thus far, my favorite, obviously. All right, let's get into the last 2, which I said look very similar. So hopefully these aren't the same beer, because they look like the same beer. They look like the same beer. They totally do. They're both like a cherry color. They're both very clear. They're both like a slight brownish, but for the most part, cherry in coloration. So let's go with beer E first. Let's smell this. It smells like a Bach. I smell the cherry on there. My nose is starting to fail me. I gotta smell my arm. When you're going through this many beers, it feels like work, actually. Okay, so this smells kind of like a Bach. It's actually got a really clean nose to it. There is that cherry in there. There's definitely a cherry in there. Definitely a decent sweetness, maybe a little bit of like a brown sugar. Definitely a decent malt. And a little bit of alcohol in the end mixed with some bitterness from hops. It has like a little something extra that's slightly earthy. It smells good though. The cherry is so, if you listen to this, I'm not huge on cherry, but the cherry's kind of like, it's there, but it's not insane. Hopefully that's the case on the flavor. Let me try. Oh, yeah. No, the cherry's definitely there. It's stronger in the flavor than it is in the nose, but it's nice. It's nice. And it does kind of taste like it's like a little bit brown sugary finish to it. It's like nice, dark flavor cherry in the beginning, and then it just kind of like dissipates to that brown sugar for the finish. But it's a slight bit viscous, but not too much for what you would assume based off the smell. Because like when you get cherry, you would think more of like thick. It's good. I do perceive a little bit of alcohol in there, and it's like not too much bitterness in there. Actually, less bitterness than I would assume based off the nose. That's good. That's easy. For the amount of flavor in there, it's pretty easy, which is kind of dangerous, to be honest. So I'm not big on cherry, like I was saying, but that tastes good. All right. I'm a little confused on where I'm going to go. I do need to take one more sip. Actually, I might take one sip and then take a sip of beer D in comparison. Because beer D is my measuring stick at the moment. Okay, that's good. That's good. Okay. I'm going to go 5 on this as well. I think that deserves to be right there with where D is rated. Both really nice. This is really well executed. Beer E is very well executed. I think it's probably like a Doppelbock is what it seems to me. I have a problem with like Scotch ales and Doppelbocks. I know sometimes Scotch ales have a lot of like a peat moss type flavor to them, but a lot of breweries will do Scotch ales and try and take that out. So it just ends up with a lot of like this, like, you know, cherry and brown sugar basically. So for that reason, I will typically get confused between Scotch ales and Doppelbocks. So it could be one of those. I'd say probably maybe Doppelbock because of the cleaner finish. And if people can hear it, our neighbor is playing the piano again. So sorry if you can pick that up. All right, especially when I'm silent and there isn't someone else talking. Okay, well, that's a 5 on that. So let's go to the final one, F. And like I said, it looks the exact same, so I'm not going to go over the color. Let's go to the nose. This smells similar. Although, actually, does it? No. So this smells like way toned down in comparison to E, but there is cherry in the nose. It's cherry, and it smells like maybe a little bit of banana on the end. My nose is starting to fail me again. I'm sorry, people. It smells kind of astringent, to be honest. It's like dark cherry flavor and astringency. A lot of astringency, actually. A lot more astringency than I would want on the nose. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. It's like a boozy cherry. That's it. All right, I'm going to go and try it. Enjoy the music while I do that. Ooh, this really kicks your tongue in. What is that? So it's got a lot of the same type of cherry as E had, but it's way more aggressive. And like I said, like in the nose, it's boozier. I get a decent amount of alcohol kicking in on the end of that. It's decent, but that booze note, like it's like a astringency on the finish. It's a burn in the throat. It's boozy. It's okay, but yeah, that astringency, that booziness is a little bit much. It also enhances the bitterness a little bit more. Not huge on that. It's not bad. Okay. Let me take 1 or 2 more sips. I want to be fair to it. I definitely want to be fair to it. Okay, I'm going to go 3 on that one. Not huge. And I feel like the more I sip it, I get a little bit of a banana coming through on it, which is interesting. So it's like cherry banana. Okay. So to recap where we are at the moment, the A was 3, B was 4, C was 4, D was 5, E was 5, and F was 3. So we kind of went full circle. Oh, that's funny. 2 3s, 2 4s, 2 5s. What do you know? And just to give you more of an idea, A was the one that I said was kind of like a wheat beer. That one got 3. B was one that was like a New England style IPA. That one got 4. The next one was more of like a East Coast, West Coast fusion IPA. That one got a 4. Then there was the one that was like a milk chocolate, dark chocolate, probably porter or straight up stout. That got a 5. Then the next one was more of like a Doppelbock with the cherry notes and brown sugar. That one got a 5. And then the last one we just did, which got the 3, which was the boozy cherry one. So let's start opening up some of these beers. All right, so I'll start with A just because that was one of the lower ones. So A with an overall 3 is, and now we're going to know what the brewery is, by the way, for the pack. Oh, okay. All right. It's Troegs Independent Brewing out of Hershey, Pennsylvania, and this first one, which got a 3, is their Dreamweaver wheat beer. Well, it's good to know that I could pick out a wheat beer, and it says this one is unfiltered, which makes sense with it being hazy as it was. It is 4.8% alcohol by volume, and they have some information on here. It says the color is golden, cloudy. Well, we already knew that. I don't need that. Yeast, South German Hefeweizen yeast. So they don't have like the no, they don't have like the malt bill and the hops, which I kind of would like that. I don't know. It says that there should be notes of black pepper and spicy clove. I mean, I said coriander, so I guess that was my perception of it. Okay. That's that's a pretty well-respected beer. All right, so there's that one. That was one of the lower ones. Let's get this other low one out of the way. So, F, with an overall 3. We know it's going to be Troegs. Well, unless there was some collaboration pack or something. Oh, okay, makes sense. Which we just had this on the podcast. Oh yeah, that is funny. It's a pack from Troegs Independent Brewing, which we talked about not having had Troegs on the podcast all that much on one of our On the Shelf episodes. So it's funny that Rebecca decided to get this. So anyway, beer F with an overall 3 is Mad Elf. We had it on the podcast. The Mad Elf. It is 11%. I can taste all that 11%, by the way. They say it's just an ale with honey and cherries. I guess it's where the sweetness is coming from. The yeast is spicy Belgian. There's cherries. It has Bing cherries, Lambert, Van, Royal Anne, and Montmorency. It's a lot of different cherries in there. And we're supposed to get some notes of, in addition to cherry and honey, cinnamon, clove, and allspice. I don't really get that. I mainly just kind of got like a lot of cherry and booze. It's kind of how it is. Okay, so Mad Elf. Let's go back to B. That was the kind of New England IPA-ish one. And this one got an overall 4, and that beer is... Oh, okay. It's been a while since I've had this, but I remember enjoying it. Blizzard of Hops. It is their winter IPA, is what they're calling it. It is 6.4% alcohol. Oh, and they actually tell you what the hops are in this. Centennial, Chinook, Galaxy, and Eldorado. Well, it makes sense that I was getting pineapple in the nose and the flavor because of that Galaxy. That's what it does. And it says it's hoppy citrus and pine notes. I don't think we really got as much of the pine. Well, I did say mango in there, which to me, it's that fusion between citrus and pine. So a little bit of the pine, but that's not super pronounced. So we got that one, and then we'll just go to C, which is... I have to find where I have this. Okay, there we go. C, they got an overall of 4, and that beer is... Oh, okay. This is also one I haven't had in a while. Perpetual IPA. This is a staple by Troegs. They have this a lot of the time. This is Imperial? Has Perpetual IPA always been Imperial? I seem to remember it just as like a straight IPA. Well, I mean, it's 7.5% alcohol, so that makes sense. The hops in this one are Bravo, Chinook, Mount Hood, Nugget, Citra, and Cascade. I like this beer. It says sticky citrus rind, pine balm, and tropical fruit. Yeah, that makes sense. I feel like I did a pretty good job of picking out the flavors and aromas in this one. That's a good beer. This is a good beer. Yeah. All right. So next, I'm going to do E next because I think I know what that beer is. I think based off this, that this is Troegenator. And yes, with an overall of 5, very nice score. I mean, a score of 4 on the Perpetual and the Blizzard of Hops is good. So an overall 5 on the Troegenator, that's good. Yes, it's a double bock. They say double box. Doppelbock is how it's usually said, but they've always said double bock. So it's 8.2% alcohol. It doesn't really taste like that, in my opinion. The hops in this one are Magnum, German, and Northern Brewer. It says you're supposed to have cherry, yes, caramel, chocolate, and dried stone fruit. Oh, I hate the stone fruit moniker. Because it could be so many things. Definitely with the cherry, I think I said more of like brown sugar, which caramel, brown sugar becomes caramel at some point as it gets richer in flavor. So, close on that one. And then I don't know what this last one would be because I don't know of them having a chocolate related beer out there. So maybe it's from their Scratch series, which they do a great job with the Scratch series. So beer D, with also an overall of 5, is chocolate stout. That's what it's called. It's not a Scratch series beer. I wonder if they're going to be putting this out like year round or seasonally. I mean, I would think probably seasonally, but I haven't heard of this. It's literally just called chocolate stout. It's a stout brewed with cocoa nibs and vanilla. Do I get vanilla? I'm going to go back and try it. Oh, yeah, I can see the vanilla now. I think that's where I was getting a lot of that milk chocolate and it like being kind of like velvety. Like when I was saying the dark chocolate versus the milk chocolate, the milkiness is what I was getting from that vanilla. It was making it a little more smooth and kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Silky, I guess. And this chocolate stout is 7.1% alcohol. Roasted cocoa nibs is what they had, and Madagascar vanilla, if you wanted to know specifically where the vanilla is from. The hops they use for this one are Galena, Simcoe, and Warrior. Obviously, you're supposed to get the sweetness of chocolate malt, silkiness of oats, cocoa nibs, adding the depth of dark chocolate, and definitely had that, and a touch of Madagascar vanilla puts a bow on this roasty winter warmer. I like this. I like that beer for being a winter beer, honestly. And I know a lot of people, when they would think like wintry beers and specifically a stout, you're going to think like bigger, heavier, boozier, so more of like an imperial stout. But a straight stout for me with this type of chocolatey flavor, I think I like this a little bit more at the moment, especially because it reminds me a little bit more of like a hot chocolate, like a light hot chocolate. Because you know how like you can choose to make hot chocolate with like boiling water or with boiling milk. A lot of times I'll just do water because I don't really usually have milk on hand. I don't really drink milk. So when I have hot chocolate, it's more watery than what some people would do when they do milk. So to me, it kind of reminds me of doing hot chocolate that way. And, you know, it just feels right for the winter when it's colder out. So that's pretty nice. I guess I should open this little note from Rebecca now and see what it says. Okay, this is interesting. The most wonderful beer of the year is what the name of this pack is, by Troegs Independent Brewing, and it's $25.99, so basically $26 for 12 beers. That's not that bad. And apparently on the box, she wrote that it recommends blending some of these beers. So actually, I might as well just go ahead and do that right now. So it recommends doing the chocolate stout and the Mad Elf together, 50-50. So let me see what I have left of the chocolate here, and I'll just pour some of the Mad Elf into it. So chocolate and Mad Elf. Okay, so that should be about 50. I don't know if it's exactly 50, so sorry everyone. But, I mean, it still smells kind of chocolatey. I now get the cherry in there. They call this a chocolate elf when you do this 50-50 blend. Let me try it. I mean, okay. I would not... okay. It's a lot of the Mad Elf kind of dominating because those are stronger flavors, they are more serious flavors, and that astringency is very present. So that kind of takes over as well. So in my opinion, I would not do a 50-50 on this. I would probably be more apt to do the 75%, 25%, where you do 75% of the chocolate stout and 25% of the Mad Elf, because the Mad Elf is so strong. You're losing a lot of that chocolate in here when you're doing the 50-50 blend, in my opinion. Do I get the chocolate? Yeah, I get a little bit of the chocolate on the finish, but I would like more of the chocolate. The cherry is a bit much. The astringency is a bit much. The alcohol comes through way too much, in my opinion. It does thin the Mad Elf out a little bit to make it a little less syrupy, which is good. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and recommend 75% chocolate stout, 25% Mad Elf. But good idea. Then we have what they call the Mad Dream, which we talked about on the Shelf episode when we had the Mad Elf. They say 70% Dreamweaver, 30% Mad Elf. Okay, so let me go ahead. Okay, this is going to be the tough part. Okay, so I don't know how I'm going to really measure this out. I'm going to have to eyeball it, folks. I'm eyeballing it, folks. Okay, so pour myself some Dreamweaver. And I'm just going to put in a little bit of Mad Elf. Okay, there we go. It looks really nice. It's kind of like this hazy, like ruby color. You can definitely smell the astringency invade the Dreamweaver. And a little bit of cherry coming through. Yeah. I don't think I quite hit that 30. I do actually need a little bit more of the Mad Elf in there. I'm putting it in. Yeah, I mean, that's basically what it is. With the 70% of the Dreamweaver, you're really keeping the integrity of that mouthfeel, making it kind of like a really light mouthfeel and making it finish like relatively clean. That's still there, and you're getting a lot of the wheat. You're getting some of that banana, some of that kind of clove note in there. A little bit of the Cheerio as well, but that's kind of masked a little bit more. And then with the little bit of Mad Elf, you are getting the cherry in there. You're getting a little bit of the astringency coming through, but it's not too astringent, and it's not like high alcohol. So it kind of tempers the Mad Elf more, in my opinion. Well, since it's just like a small amount, so I like that. That's pretty dang good. I do like that. I said dang. I can say damn. That's pretty damn good. Yeah, so between this Chocolate Elf and the Mad Dream, I would recommend the Mad Dream more. Although, like I said, the Chocolate Elf, just modify it, not 50-50, 75-25. But yeah, Mad Dream's legit. That's good. I'm going to save that for Rebecca so she can drink it. I know it's been a long time since she's done that. But that's cool. It's super cool that they put on the pack, here are our recommendations for blending. I know that New Belgium had done that with a pack of beer not too long ago. Someone was telling me about it. I never found that pack of beer. I really wanted to. Like, the whole idea of them putting that pack out was that they were encouraging people to blend all these different beers. And they had recommendations, but then said, also mess with it yourself. So that was always cool. Anyway, I'm exhausted at this point. Oh my God, I went over 50 minutes. All right, well, you just get me talking, and I feel like it's not all that long, but it's long. Anyway, thank you everyone for checking this out. Hopefully this was a lot of fun. If you want me to do more solo episodes, doing my own kind of pack attack, let me know. You can email me, brutalbattlepodcast@gmail.com. But I appreciate everyone continually checking in with this podcast as you do. And until next time, keep it brutal.
This has been a Nerd Circle podcast production.